you go on social media and you see all of these beautifully filtered faces everywhere with flawless skin. Just a heads up, they're all filtered, so they're not real. And it gets really, really lonely.
Fifth or sixth grade was roughly when I started having acne. I also was starting to get it on my chest and my back when I came into the program, which I had never had before.
Well, when we're in a stress-like response, we're not in rest and digest.
I was like, oh my God, my toxicity level is so, I'm like, am I dying? Like, am I okay?
As acne sufferers, you kind of have PTSD from acne. And you're always fearful.
The byproduct effect of who you become on the acne journey is so worth it and helpful and going to benefit you for the rest of your life.
This is Keep It Clear, real conversations about skin, acne, and women's health without the overwhelm. Because you deserve answers that actually make sense. Today's episode starts now.
All right, everyone. I know you absolutely love these episodes when we do them. There are client stories, and I think they're just so powerful because when you're dealing with acne, especially as an adult, you feel really alone a lot of the times. You feel really isolated. Like, I'm the only one dealing with this, because then you go on social media and you see all of these beautifully filtered faces everywhere with flawless skin. Just a heads up, they're all filtered, so they're not real. And it gets really, really lonely. So this is why I think these chats are so important, because when you can hear from other people in your shoes, and you can really hear your story in other people's story, and you're like, oh my gosh, me too. You can start to realize that you're not going to be stuck with acne forever. So that's why I absolutely love these chats. And today we have one of our former clients, the lovely Hailey Rowe, hanging out with Chris and I. So Hailey, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us this morning.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We are really excited because we have a really cool backstory of how you actually came to join us over in the Clear Skin Solution, because you are in the health and wellness space. You're a business coach for health, wellness, and life coaches. So you're exposed to all of this, and this is really what drove you to want to work on your health.
Yeah, definitely. I had been very into health from a somewhat young age, but I used to work in business development and marketing for wellness startups. And then after that, in 2017, I started my own business and started working individually with wellness professionals. And a lot of them were in the functional health space. And it kind of got me interested in all the different tests I could do and what I could learn about my health. And I had been on an acne journey for a very long time, which we can dig into, but I knew I needed to do a more holistic plan, and found you guys and saw all the different success stories you had and was very interested. And that's how we ended up here.
And that's how we ended up on the podcast.
That's right.
I love when we get to talk to our clients because, even though you all came in for acne, your stories are all, I want to say they're the same but different, right? You have the same where you've tried so many things, you're dealing with the acne, you understand the physical, mental, and emotional component, but everyone's journey is a little bit different. So I'd love to know, Hailey, like, how long have you been dealing with acne? Like, what are some of the things you had tried?
Yeah, I would say fifth or sixth grade was roughly when I started having acne. And of course, I did the route of going to the dermatologist and getting antibiotics for a very long time, which I didn't know at the time was not ideal. And then spironolactone, and then more harsh topicals. And I also ended up, for a while I did that. And then I kind of did get into health, and I was like, I don't know if this is the best. So I found a different, like a natural acne clinic, and I did that. And that was probably around the pandemic. And that really helped me for a period of time. And I didn't realize, though, it was not very natural. I was taking a very, very high dose of vitamin A, and it was, not Accutane or anything like that, but it was a supplement that had very high vitamin A. And I was kind of, again, digging into researching and like, that's probably not good either. So I wanted to wean off of that. And that did work for me for a while. And then it kind of started to fade a little bit. And I knew I needed a different solution. And so I wanted to do a GI map test and all these different types of things to dig deeper into the different body systems. And so I actually worked with one of my clients on a GI map, and that was really, really helpful and kind of eased me into all this. But then I was like, I really want a group program. I lead a group program like as a business coach, and I love the community part. And I feel like I wanted that for myself with health. And I found yours, and I was like, okay, I feel like this could help me. I feel like this offers the step by step. So I booked a call with Paige, and here we are. And I'm still, of course, the journey never ends. It's something that I have to pay attention to because I know for me, my acne is very stress related. And I feel like it's gotten so much better through this program, and I'm still doing some protocols with you guys. But it is something where I feel like I have to keep an eye on it and I have to manage my stress. And so I was learning all the different tools that you guys offer to do that. And my skin's been a lot better lately. So very happy about that and continuing to just learn and do the journey.
And I know as soon as you were like, my stress, I can see Chris was like, let me just pull up her HTMA for a hot minute here.
I kind of like those.
Yeah. So tell us what you're seeing over there, Chris.
So this is from April when we first start. So we transition people in and then we do the HMA. The HMA, because we get this question a lot, it's not the cold front in essence, right? Like, Hailey, you came in, we meet on intakes, we start going through, we progressively get you going, and then we're like, hey, let's dig deeper from here. So, what did your dig deeper say? Oh, it said digestion, digestion, digestion. So, were you feeling any digestive markers when you came in?
Yeah, I definitely, well, first of all, I've been told I have low stomach acid, and then I also vary on every once in a while I'll get constipation. So that was for sure a challenge.
And when I love how you're like, oh, low stomach acid, because people forget the digestive system is from mouth to anus, big, huge, massive tube. So if we're not chewing paste like, if we're not mindfully eating, because it just that's not what we do today, right? It's go, go, go. Then the stomach really can take the brunt of that. You said, hey, my acne really, really just stems up from stress. Well, when we're in a stress like response, we're not in rest and digest. So now the body system's fighting for similar pathways. And with regards to yours, barium, strontium, calcium, and magnesium elevated. If that's not screaming more constipation, bowel instability, acidic like nature, more about the alkaline, you know, digestive areas where we want it mildly acidic or acidic, definitely in the stomach, where the intestinal cavity now becomes, instead of slightly acidic, it becomes more acidic. And then we get that lovely pathogenic interplay, hello GI map, right?
Mhm.
Also, with regards to your HMA, what was your type of style of eating when you came in?
Oh, yeah. So this is a huge transition. I've had very much an intermittent faster for several years. It's how I run. I thought I run best. And during my day, I'm really busy, so I don't usually take the time to make breakfast or eat. And I have been doing that for a really long time coming into the program, and I'm sure that that played a role in my tests. And one of the biggest, honestly, just a side note, I thought that, that helped me because I had some like binge eating patterns. And I realized it was not, I don't have like a binge problem. I literally was just malnourished. It was biological. And I'm shocked that in the program, like as a side byproduct, I feel like I don't have that problem anymore just because I'm like, oh, I just wasn't eating like balanced meals throughout the day. So naturally, it makes a lot of sense why I was struggling with that. So, yeah, that was where I started.
Especially with calcium and magnesium, when it's lower on the HMA, one of the first things we may see, obviously with an intake, is we're like, how you doing? Is this working for you? Are you ravenous at dinner time? Are you, grazing or picking? Do we have low energy? Because these minerals, they start telling stories. So
Hmm.
when we start listening to the story and then encompass that with your story of that history, sometimes just intermittent fasting or time restricted eating doesn't work for everybody. So
Yeah.
really going in, and that's why we really love the HMA. It's because we get to really dig into your terrain. So we're not trying to alter, we're not trying to tell you to do something specifically different. We're saying, hey, you know what? We can really do a lot of good with more food. Look at that. How many people say you get to eat, right?
Right.
So we want you to eat. We want you to foster that protein, fat, and fiber. We need you to have that sustainable energy so that your body mechanisms can actually gear up in order to do what they're doing. And that's probably the most, I would say, liberating part of all the process is within the first 4 weeks. If we go back through your transition, in the first 4 weeks, you started to get wins.
Yeah, and it was weird because at first when I started doing meals throughout the day, I was like, I feel like I'm not on that high like during the day. Like I feel I was running on like stress hormones, adrenaline, but then I transitioned and I felt a lot better. So when you guys say there's kind of like that transition period where sometimes you feel worse before you feel better, I was like eating these meals, I'm like, I'm kind of tired. I don't know. Like my body just was not used to it. But within the first couple weeks, I was having better digestion. Like the last, also just like the last couple of days, been like ideal on your Bristol stool chart. And I started getting better deep sleep in the program. I didn't even know. I mean, part of that probably was because I changed some of my caffeine habits. And I mean, I had so many wins we could go through. My diet's way more diverse. I got I was anemic before, or I had a history of kind of going back and forth between anemia and at like low iron levels. And now I've redone my blood tests and I'm good on that front. And the H. pylori I had, which was pretty high coming into the program, it now is what we call like, I think, dormant.
It's
So
much
we're
lower
working
because we
on it.
ran another GI map
We're getting
recently.
there. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of wins. Yeah.
These are all really amazing and connecting because the bismuth that was in the HMA, fast forward to the GI map after doing a lot of detail to your body and altering these lifestyle changes that you just spoke of, we could see it at a higher level, or it's an indication of, it's not like we can see anything, but it's an indication of, and then come forward and just see it in a GI at a low level and then dormant. I mean, H. pylori is there. It's just a matter if it's active or if it's like out for vengeance kind of thing, because it can be nasty, right? A virus can be nasty. So I love all of these things, especially your iron was excessively high in the HMA. And you're like, oh, I was anemic. Well, that makes sense because we also need copper in order to transport it, these types of little cofactors, which, now you're piecing together and going, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So even transitioning, eating different ways, or using supplements as tools to liberate these processes is really what we look at so that, you don't have to suffer.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I had a lot of like, not just, this was more recent. Like I had breakouts on my face and my cheeks, but I also was starting to get it on my chest and my back when I came into the program, which I had never had before. And that was one of the first things to go like out of, with my skin. So I was very happy about that. And I think the other thing I did, you guys had said, "Oh, you're so stressed." And I was like, I don't, or well, you didn't say it that way, but like reading my test, you were
I was
like,
like, oh,
this,
that's rough.
no, 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 no. You read my test and you were like, it looks like you're under chronic stress. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm under chronic stress. But the truth is, I mean, so a couple things. One, I am an entrepreneur, so it's a lot of positive stress, but I guess it's showing up not ideally on my test. I sing in a wedding band on occasion, so sometimes my circadian rhythm is a little all over the place because on the weekends I might be at a gig till like 1 in the morning or two or something like that. And I live a pretty busy lifestyle. And so I didn't think that I was stressed, but for some reason it was showing up that I was. And so I'm doing a lot more. Like I had to really open up my mindset to, okay, you need to do things that are calming. Like I've started doing more yoga. I've always done the sauna, but I've started doing more of the sauna, things like that. And I think it was it like I and just like Katie, I really resonated with her where she's like somebody who probably it doesn't feel very normal to you to do nothing. Like you feel like an itch, like to do,
Hold
like
on.
that's hard for me.
Yeah. Hold
But
Chris's eye rolls.
yeah, yeah. But the yoga, for some reason, because I'm doing something, it is something that has stuck for me because I'm like, okay, I'm still moving, but it's slow and it's stretching and I'm re breathing and I'm relaxing. And so it's one of those things where I think if you're a type A, you have to kind of find the stress management things that you're actually going to do.
Hmm.
And I tried to do some of the recordings you guys have with the mindset breathwork person, and you find your style. Like some of those I was into, others I was like, I can't take myself seriously. So, you find what works for you, and I think that was really big in the program as well.
Yeah, because everyone, needs different lifestyle habits. That's why there's no one cookie cutter approach to acne or really any health condition because everyone's so unique. You have a different health history, different imbalances, but also different lifestyle. So for you, you really found yoga to be very grounding and very relaxing. Someone else might really like breath work, and it really comes down to what resonates for that individual.
Hmm.
The other thing I just want to tackle just more onto that is that right there, I call it the moneymaker. When we understand how, say, I love the minerals because minerals, they kind of engulf their own personalities. And then we can bleed a little bit into those personalities or those traits is really what they are. So when we see an elevated sodium potassium and a lower sodium magnesium, yeah, the adrenals can be on hiatus. However, I'm starting to look for more of that A-type personality and A-type personality and entrepreneur. If we're like, okay, lights out at 9, pip pip, guess what? That's not realistic because your work comes home with you
Hmm.
no
Hmm.
matter what. So instead of saying this is what has to happen, we say, let's start embracing that work needs to be home because guess what? You didn't get to the accountant yesterday and you need to get to the accountant today. So, I'm an entrepreneur, Katie's an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. So, what better choir to start preaching all these songs to? Because at the end of the day, you have to meet that lifestyle. You have to meet that personality trait, especially calcium is elevated, it's more rigid. And you nailed it because you're like, I had to be open to the change because we create a coping mechanism, which is more rigidity, more pattern like. And if you look back to when you started, is you can say, hey, was I reapplying the same patterns? Did I respond in the same manner? Did I shut down in the same types of response when I got to the stress? Could I even identify the stress? So that's kind of a full circle of meeting a personality where it needs to be. Even the way we coach needs to be meeting that personality. I'll tell you right now, if you go to your coach and you start asking questions and we're like, oh, yeah, we'll get to it. Hailey's out. She's like, peace, right? So whether it's listening to the person and, again, it's just more eccentric in just, I'm going to go back to the HMA, just more eccentric into that HMA to really know and listen and understand. And like, you already had interest. You're like, I want some of these tests. Like I'm working with these practitioners. These are invigorating. And then you start getting them. So you've had a GI map, you had an HMA.
And
Tell
a
us a little
Dutch.
bit. And a Dutch. Yeah, of course. Oh my, right? We got to throw them all in there. So tell me a little bit about that process of, how you felt that information gave you gains.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, when I first got the HTMA and I was watching some of the recordings in the program, which I love the program because you have like everyone else asks questions that I can just listen to like on my walks or whatever, and I learn so much from that. Um, And I was seeing other people's HTMAs. This is going to sound bad, but I was like, oh my God, my toxicity level is so, I'm like, am I dying? Like, am I okay? Because it was so much worse than everyone else's that I saw. And so that was eye-opening. And I started to look at like, so for example, barium was like super high on mine, and I have no idea why, but you guys gave me some clues like, okay, make sure, like, I don't use Dawn, but my fiance does. So,
We're
so
gonna
I'm probably
blame the
gonna, yeah,
fiance.
I'm gonna blame. I
Yeah.
try to get him to use my natural stuff. He's like, it doesn't
It's
work well.
it's his fault. We'll blame him. It's okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, trying to like switch out some products. And I did it with your advice. Like, as you run out of things, just start to like shift some things. So,
Mhm.
from the HTMA, I got some advice about like certain products I could shift. And with the GI map, I learned that, it was really interesting because I did my first gut protocol before I joined the program. And then I did another one in the program, and it worked. In some ways, right? But then I
Mhm.
had other issues because I got was killing probably some things off. So then I had more dysbiosis later on that now I'm addressing in my third gut protocol. So I learned like it's really cool to start to do them I think my goal now going forward for like sustainability is to do these tests kind of as you recommend, like maybe once a year or something like that, just to make sure you're staying on track. And with the Dutch test, I had done that way, 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 way long ago, like many years ago. And I knew I had probably some hormone issues or low progesterone or things like that. But I think when I did it this time around, I think there were some improvements since my last one. So I think it's a very, you can really dive deep into wanting to know everything about those. But what I've taken from this program is like just do the protocols and like trust your coach or person you're working with, and you don't really need to know all the ins and outs. What you need to know is that you're making some lifestyle changes, you're going to retest later, and not letting it like again with the HTMA, not letting it freak me out as much anymore, and just being like, okay, that's just a timestamp, that's where we're at and we're working on it.
Yeah, I find it's really fascinating, especially something that you said there is, you're working on your third gut protocol. And I wanted to kind of circle back to this because a lot of people think, oh, I did one gut protocol, so my gut's fantastic. I never have to do anything again. Well, in some cases, sure. Yeah, if you're dealing with a little bit of, dysbiosis, we just got a little bit of stuff to clean up. Yeah, one protocol, one and you're done. But if you've been dealing with like long-term gut issues, you have a much bigger dysbiosis. We have all of these things going on. Sometimes it's going to take multiple rounds of similar protocols to clear out that debris.
Yeah, I mean, I was on antibiotics as a kid, like all the time, and for acne for a very, very long time. So it's not unreasonable that I would have to do a couple of these. And at the end of the program, one of the things I forgot to mention that I really love, and I forgot to like say goodbye to her. So if you can tell Ashley that I love her and I love her calls.
Our esthetician, I absolutely will let
Um,
her know.
but anyways, she had recommended doing a bio repeal at the end of my program, like which is a facial thing, and it has helped me so much. And I think all of the things, it's what you guys say. It's not one thing. Like, so I was doing that while transitioning out of the program
Mhm.
into my next protocol. And my skin lately just has been, and I think I'm getting better. I don't know. I mean, just by looking at my Oura ring, because it shows when you're stressed and
Mhm.
stuff, I think I'm getting better at like calming myself down.
Mhm.
So I feel like all these things are now compounding, and my skin is just a lot calmer, and it's seeming like I know every acne sufferer probably listening to this can relate. Like there's always that fear of like, well, what if now that I'm done with these series of facial treatments, it
Yeah.
comes back? Or
Yeah.
what if when I finish this protocol, it comes back because I'm not on these supplements anymore? And I think I knock on wood, I feel like I'm still moving in the right direction. And there is that slight fear there still,
Mhm.
I'll be honest, but it's becoming less and I'm becoming more confident in that I have tools to manage things.
And that's such a common thing, right? Because as acne sufferers, you kind of have PTSD from acne. And you're always fearful, like waiting for that other shoe to drop because it's been, what you're used to. And so it's a completely normal thing that we see for so many of our clients. And then I love when our clients come back like 4 years later, they're like, "Hey, Katie, good news. Still no acne. I'm so excited. I'm no longer worried that it's going to break out." But I love that what you said is that if you do have a breakout pop up or you do have a pimple, because again, we're not after perfect skin, we're after healthy skin, and having a pimple here and there is totally fine. And now you have the tools in order to know what caused it and what to do.
Exactly. I have so many tools. I've got my pimple patches. I know diet wise when I'm like need to change it up and I'm eating too much of the same
Mm.
thing. I mean, everything is so covered. I know I got my new gua sha now, by the way.
Oh,
Mm.
Very exciting.
fancy.
Yes, yeah.
I
So
love that.
good stuff.
So I'd love to know because we're all about transparency in the journey. No journey is going to be linear from A to B. It's going to be all rainbows and butterflies the whole time. So I would love to know, as you're going through, your journey, your time with us, were there any obstacles that popped up? Was there anything, that was challenging for you? Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there was a time in the program where I had to go off of coffee and
Oh.
I tracked every day. I did it for I think 45 days. And I was a shell of myself. And I was like, wow, I can't believe how much this impacts my personality. But I don't rely on coffee. I actually realized I can live without it and live well without it. And now I do mostly tea, but every once in a while I'll have coffee, so it's a nice balance. But that was a real challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie. That was really hard, and there was days where I just felt very like introverted and shy and didn't want to talk to anyone. And the other thing I think that was a challenge is just, you know, with my cycle, I tend to break out more like the week or so before. And managing that, because like I kept being thrown, I felt like I was always thrown for a curveball. It's like, oh, my skin's clearing up. And then, oh, no, it's, no longer. Oh, it's better. Oh, it's not, right? So that is getting better now. It's less reactive to my period, thankfully. But it was a challenge because you're always feeling like, you want to get this fixed and you feel like sometimes it's outside of your control. And I got coached on this by Chris. And she
Did
is
you
very
hear her
helpful.
by
By
Chris?
Chris.
Yeah, I heard that,
Yes.
Haley. I heard that. I'm just gonna pull
No,
that
it's
out.
a positive thing. You are very helpful in this. And, just realizing you have to kind of let the process be the process. And it's easier said than done. But I think now it's kind of like, okay, this is just something we're managing and we have the tools and I'm doing my part and I have to just trust that the rest is coming into play. And I think that for us people who want to, do everything we can to solve our acne, you can only do as much as you can do, and you have to trust the process and give it time and patience. And I think that was one of the hardest things. But
Mhm.
to be honest, like I'd been patient anyways over these past however many years. So it's, and I think there's that feeling of like, I want to make the most out of this program. I really want to do what my coach tells me to do. I want to like make, extract as much value as I can out of this. And sometimes I think putting that yes, to a degree, but don't put so much pressure on yourself that you're adding more stress because that aggravates your acne. So I had to kind of like let go and be like, okay, calm down. We're doing our thing and trust the process. And I'm really, glad that I have been doing that.
So I've been asking this question lately of clients, and I'm sure I already know the answer, but I just wanna ask, is Was investing the time into yourself worth it in the end?
Yeah. It's funny because I'm having like a really great year in business. And I think a lot of it has to do with my self-care routines and things that I've been doing after work to take care of myself. The time, the money, everything that I have given into this program and this journey has been so worth it. And you also kind of shift in your identity. You're like, I'm the kind of person who, I got my back. Like I take care of myself and it gives you more confidence in like when there's a problem, I look into my solutions and I solve it and I come to the right team and there's support out there for you. And feeling supported, that's a big thing. Like, yes, I was putting more time into my self-care, but I also felt like I had a people to come back to and report to, and I wasn't in this alone. And that was like such a nice luxury gift to myself that normally I wouldn't give myself. And I really am grateful for that.
Mm.
That's part
I
of that stress adaptation, right? So we're living in the new and not in the reminder of failure. We like to, especially A types, Haley, right? I know I'm one, so I get it, right? We
same.
can we can think about all the things we should have could have done, or we can stay present and say, this is what I need now. Right. And once you start to identify that, and as I'm listening to you, it's the cutest because you're like, yeah, like you came in, told me I was totally stressed. I didn't know I was stressed. And I just hear the stress triggers just, and again, you stress is growing that business, seeing it evolve, right? These types of things. Distress obviously is the ones that are a little bit more detrimental. We don't like to talk about those ones. So as you go through that process and you do that self-care, your body is able to bounce back its vitality. And then you're like, wait a minute, I've got you. And you know what? If I'm unsure, then I'm going to go over here, ask a question. Oh, okay, yeah, and I'm going to keep going. So even that trusting that process and putting your faith and guidance towards somebody else, that was probably, if I look back, that was probably a coping mechanism where you felt I just have to do it myself.
Mhm.
Fair?
Oh, yeah.
So
And it's
that's like
part
a
of
big
that.
one for me. I love that.
Yeah, it's part of that control. Oh, yeah, if it if it is to be, it's up to me, versus no, I have this team now, and that is just a really nice. It does you do feel lighter when you have a support team.
I love that
So,
you said that though. I love that you
mhm.
said the support because we all need support and however we find it. So we usually say we're the tools.
Hmm.
However, the biggest word there is team. So
Yeah.
clients will come and they'll say, "Oh, Chris, I couldn't do it without you." Right off the bat, it's not that I'm ungrateful, and I just say, we're a team. For this to have worked, we had to have done it together.
Mhm.
So yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Mm. I love everything about this chat, Haley. And for someone who's sitting there listening, they're in your shoes where you were, say, a year ago. What advice would you give to them?
Oh man. Well, okay. I think two things. One, I know what it's like to like catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I need to fix this right now. And I think that it's really important to just know that you can, as long as you're willing to keep refining until you get to where you want to go, you can't lose. And for me, that's been the acne journey. It's like I will keep going until it's where I want it to be, and I will continue to refine and learn along the way. And the biggest part about that, and that I think is positive, is you, as a byproduct of going on this acne journey, become such a stronger person in so many ways. And there's so many byproduct habits that you don't even realize are going to change your life. That was the biggest thing for me. Like now I go to bed at a better time. Now I like there's so many habits that have enough, well, they do have things to do with acne. However, you wouldn't think, you wouldn't, if you're going the conventional route, you probably wouldn't form these habits. So to me, it's like the byproduct effect of who you become on the acne journey is so worth it and helpful and going to benefit you for the rest of your life. in addition to just solving the acne.
Mm, that was perfect. This was incredible, Hailey. I really am so grateful that you came on and shared your story today because it really just shows that, you can be where you were, where you're like stressed looking in the mirror, and then you decide, no, like I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm worthy and I deserve the help. And you're a busy entrepreneur, so I'm sure you could have used all the excuses in the world of I'm too busy, it's not the right time, I have lots of things going on. But you're like, no, I'm also going to put myself and my well-being at the top of my to-do list.
Yeah,
Mm.
love it.
So good, everybody. All right. Well, this was absolutely lovely. Now, if you want to go and learn a little bit more about what Hailey does in the health and wellness world, Hailey, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I'm at Hailey_Rowe on Instagram. It's a Hailey because most people don't spell it with an I.
There's so
Um,
many ways to spell Hailey. I will put it in the
yeah,
show notes.
I know, right?
I'll put it in the show
Thank
notes.
you. Yeah, and then HaileyRowe.com is my website.
Amazing. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed another episode here with one of our lovely clients from the Clear Skin Solution. As always, if you want to come hang out with Chris and I and our whole team over in the CSS, pop it in the show notes. We'd love to have you. We'd love to work with you. Any questions, pop them on my DMs. And if you want to learn more about Hailey, I'll pop that in the show notes. Bye, everybody.